let's move on to the next presenter. I will introduce the next presenter, Ms. Jung Sung-ah from Donghan High School in 경기세타. Her theme is using storytelling to promote oral language proficiency. Please welcome her with a round of applause.
Hello ladies and gentlemen, great to see you. I'm Jung Sung-ah, working at Donghan High School. Today, I'm going to talk about how I promoted oral language proficiency using storytelling task in class. Before I actually begin, I'd like to show you something.
대체 우리는 왜 영어를 못하는 걸까요? 영어 말하기 울렁증, 지원자들만의 문제일까요? 한국의 영어 읽기는 세계 35위. 하지만 영어 말하기 순위는 평가 4위권입니다. 우간다, 소말리아, 르완다 같은 아프리카 국가보다도 낮은 122위입니다. 한국인의 영어 말하기 실력이 소말리아 해적보다도 못하다는 슬픔입니다.
Korean people are less proficient than Somalian pirates. It is quite shocking. So this documentary suggested an important research for successful learning of speaking.
의학상을 받은 에릭 캔데. 그는 기억이 저장되기 위해선 집중이 필요하다고 말합니다. 기억이 오랫동안 지속되려면 뉴런의 핵이 자극돼야 합니다. 핵을 자극하는 방법은 두 가지입니다. 반복적으로 자극을 하거나 강한 자극을 주는 것이죠. 여기서 강한 자극이란 감정을 건드리는 자극입니다. 어른의 뇌는 강한 자극이나 반복적인 자극을 한 정보만을 오랫동안 기억합니다.
Then, how can we provide students with strong, repetitive stimulus in teaching speaking? I thought talking about their own stories would be strong enough to stimulate motion in our brain and allow longer memory retention. Then, when would you apply to storytelling while teaching one chapter of your textbook? To use storytelling as a repetitive stimulus, I injected it in the last period of one chapter of textbook so the student can recycle all the language items and content information of the chapter that they learned in the storytelling in a meaningful way. For example, in lesson 11, students listen to what So-young plans to do and they practice speaking using I hope that. They read about several hot jobs for the future, and then they get some information about the future job. And in grammar class, they learn how to use future perfect tense. Finally, by talking about what they want to do in the future, they are supposed to repeat what they have learned in this chapter of the textbook in the storytelling. Next, preparation to make this research successful. My target students are first graders of high school. To describe their storytelling proficiency, I have 20% of labelers who just use nouns to categorize a feature of a thing, and 60% of listers who put descriptions of anything without ordering, and 20% of connectors who can connect the sentences so that the main topic is clearly noticed. To talk about the cooperative groups, I'd like to share one of my teaching stories. Last year, in the first class of March, I divided the students into groups and announced that we are doing a lot of speaking activities in class. And in the next two classes, we did team building activities like making team slogan and introducing the group members to others. In 1 week, I was called into my vice principal's office. Is it a good sign? He showed me the bulletin board of school homepage. There, one student anonymously posted a complaint saying, "I don't like Ms. Young's teaching style." If you were in my shoes, how would you handle this? I had a heart-to-heart talk with every class that I taught. I got this kind of complaint from one of the students, and I understand how you feel because you're not familiar to this kind of English class. However, learning English is not all about memorizing words and solving reading questions. I strongly believe you will benefit from my method. Still, you are not happy with my teaching in 2 months, then tell me. After that, I didn't hear anything negative from the students. Phew. Later, I found out some hardworking students had prejudice against group work because working in groups sometimes generate free riders and distracting classes. Usually, one group consists of 4 people with 1 high, 2 mid, and 1 low level, and they are allowed to develop one story cooperatively. After the incident, I carefully designed the group work to make sure everybody is contributing. For example, the low-level student become a writer, while the high-level students are asked to elaborate the story with more details. In this picture, have you noticed each student is numbered 1 through 4? Say yes. Yes. Okay. You will find the reason later in this presentation. I analyzed the textbook. I matched the topic of each chapter with storytelling function, and accordingly, I created a storytelling task for each chapter, and these are the storytelling tasks for the first semester, and these are the storytelling tasks for the second semester that I did last year. Once an annual teaching plan is completed, I apply the within task cycle to an actual storytelling class. One task cycle consists of 3 phases: pre-task phase, task proper phase, and follow-up phase. In the pre-task phase, students build up schema and practice required language for the main task. And in the task proper phase, teacher presents a storytelling task, students write a draft and rehearse it, and then they report the outcome. Finally, in the follow-up phase, the teacher gives feedback and peers also give feedback too. Even though students learned a lot of expressions and information during the last classes of the chapter, in this pre-task phase, I try to provide chunks of language that they can use right away for the main task. One type of pre-task activity is matching pictures with language. In this activity, students read a short story describing Mrs. Sandra Weird, and they drew a picture of her. This type of matching also worked. We did it as a memory game. We put the language card and picture cards face down, and students take turns to pick 1 picture card and 1 language card to see if they match. If they match, they get the cards. If they don't match, they put them back. Okay, next planning stage. Because my students are not very proficient English speakers, spontaneous speech was not an easy one. So I gave them some time to write a draft and practice before presentation. This is one draft that my student produced during this planning stage, and the task was inventing a theme for a teenager and selling it on a home shopping network. And this group invented a BB scanner. Can you guess the function of this invention? It tells you what? What? Tells you where to apply BB cream on your face. So they said, you don't need to ask your friends where I need to apply BB cream more. So do you see how they are vividly engaging their everyday story into English class? And moreover, they use these expressions recycled from the textbook chapter. To make this storytelling a strong repetitive stimulus to promote oral language proficiency, I believed oral presentation opportunities should be given to everyone in the class in a very friendly environment. However, The traditional presentation method that each group comes to the front and make a presentation while the rest of them are just listening, sitting, didn't seem to fit in my plan perfectly. Why? Does it have any weaknesses? I have 40 students in one class. It is time consuming. Now what about the audience? They get bored easily. Yeah, they are sleepy. Now what about the presenters? Very nervous, just like me now. Do you see the butterflies in my stomach? So I developed 2 presentation methods that boost student participation and lower the stress being in public. One of them is 3 stay, 1 move.
Okay, yes. Then I show you how we present. Okay. If I pick a number, for example, if I pick number 2, all the number 2 students stand up and move to the next one. So, for example, the number 2 of group 1 moves to group 2. The number 2 of group 2 moves to group 3. Okay. In this way, group 4, where are you going? Group 5, group 7, where are you going? Group 8, group 10, where are you going? While one presenter is talking, what are the other 3 people doing? Listen carefully, and there is green sheet in your basket. So 3 people together write down the advantages and their supporting reasons in the box. Ready? Yes. Okay. So I pick a number. Are you ready? Yes. I pick a number. The presenter, everybody. Then here is a speech sample that my student produced about their ideal boyfriend.
I want to introduce you about my ideal boyfriend in terms of physical appearance, personality, and hobbies. First, I want my boyfriend who is taller than 175 centimeters with fair skin. And also, I would like someone who has long hair and piercing. Next, I want someone who is warm-hearted and sincere. Lastly, I like a boyfriend who plays soccer. I hope I will meet my ideal boyfriend soon.
And in this speech sample, we can see they recycle these expressions from the textbook chapter. The beauty of this presentation method is 10 people are talking at the same time. So it takes at most 10 minutes for everyone in the class to have the chance to get the floor. And because the audience is only 3 people, the presenters are less anxious, while the listeners become more attentive and responsible. And after one presentation, the presenters go back to their home group and they take some time to discuss how to improve their presentation. In this way, the next presenter can make better presentation. Another presentation method is voice recording. In this talk, students brought their own pictures, sequenced them, and created a jungle story. Let's listen to it.
Raccoon was living in Brazil. One day, he decided to visit his grandfather living in Argentina. He should get on the airplane, and he was so excited to get to the airplane for the first time.
Haha, I am very excited. Finally, he got on the airplane which go to Argentina, but unfortunately, the airplane met with an accident and Raccoon was dropped into the jungle. Luckily, he wasn't dying, but he was very scared because only he was in the jungle. He was wandering and he met two Indian women. Lakun thought they looked like princess. One of the women also thought Lakun is very charming.
I love you so much. Would you marry me?
Lakun said,
Oh, I love you. That's what I wanted to hear from you.
Indian woman said,
Finally, they got married. They looked so happy, and they got the baby, and the son was born. The name of the son is Jongmyeong. Unfortunately,
So in this speech sample, they repeated these expressions from the textbook chapter. And after all the groups completed recording their stories, we had a story festival, listening to the stories one by one, giving the feedback to the presenting groups, and laughing our heads off. This method was very effective, especially they saved the files in their MP3s or cell phones and they listened to them outside the classroom. It was quite impressive to me because I've never seen them listening to the textbook dialogues voluntarily outside the classroom. To conclude, I got some feedback from the students at the end of semester, and some of the salient ideas were these. Take a quick look. And to show the results of this research, I brought two speech samples about the same topic, my future job. So the first one was recorded before learning chapter 11. Let's watch it.
I want to be a singer because I like singing and dancing. So I joined school dancing club, and I participated pop song contest.
And the second sample was recorded 1 month after learning chapter 11. Let's watch it.
I hope I can be a singer because I like singing and dancing. To be a good entertainer, I need high level of creativity and practice. So I joined my school dancing club and practice singing hard. Sometimes I try to make my own dance movement. In 10 years, I will have released my first album and enjoy the high popularity. I will preparing for my concert with Big Bang invited. For my dream, I try my best.
So, as you see, storytelling is a very strong repetitive stimulus to promote oral language proficiency as a wrap-up activity. And second, by engaging learners' emotion and recycling the content, retention rates increased. Lastly, by sharing their own stories with others, students have better understanding of themselves and their friends. Last thought to leave you. Tell me a fact, I will learn. Tell me a truth, I will believe. But tell me a story, and it will live in my heart. So let's help English live in the hearts of our students. Thank you.
Well, thank you. Thank you for your great work and ideas. And now, let's have some questions from the audience.
First of all, thank you for your great presentation. Personally, it was very impressive in that you elicit students' voices from their stories and participation as well. But back in my school, in reality, my students tended to be more motivated only when an activity is evaluated or assessed. So I'm just wondering if you evaluate their performance, and if so, how did you do that?
Actually, to make a close link between storytelling class and actual assessment, we included oral test as a part of a performance assessment. I guess I have the slide to answer the questions. Actually, because of the time limit, I chopped a lot of slides. In my school, in the first graders, we include 10 points of oral test as one part of a continuous assessment, performance assessment, and we do a 1-minute one-on-one interview once in a semester, and we give 5 topics 2 weeks before the interview. And on the interview, put the topic card face down, and student pick one randomly. And to make a nice link between the class and assessment, we adopt many of the storytelling tasks as interview questions. For example, these are the topics for the one-on-one interview, and you can see there are some talking about one movie, or describing your ideal boyfriend, or traveling story, or introduce one of your friends that they met in Donghan High School. These kind of things we all covered during the storytelling class. So I think this would be an answer for your question. And I have another assessment method. I guess a lot of teachers use this in your school. And these days we have we put more and more emphasis on 학교 생활 기록부. So in 세부 능력 특기 4, once in a semester, at the end of the semester, I write these kind of comments to about 40 students who worked very hard, or whose performance was excellent, or not so excellent, but they tried their best, or they improved a lot. So I give these kind of comments to their 생활 기록부. Okay.
All right, then, is there another question? No more questions? All right, but a guy in the Twitter said just like this: your presentation was as beautiful as you. Maybe a guy.
You are right.
Thank you.